We'll be looking at stability analysis. In stability analysis, there are two parts: steady state stability analysis and transient state stability analysis. So the first part is what we'll be trying to cover today, that is steady state stability analysis. So steady state stability can be of three types: voltage, frequency and rotor angle stability. So voltage is permissible within the range of plus or minus 5%, frequency is permissible within the range of plus or minus 1%, and rotor angle is permissible. In for rotor angle stability, basically there will be different ways of calculating it. For small differences, for small difference of delta, for small, very small disturbance, for example, let's say initially delta is 5 degree and it got disturbed and finally it settled down to 5.9 degree. In such small disturbance cases, we use steady state stability. When the disturbance is very very large, for example from 1 degree it moves to somewhere 90 degree, 45 degree, 110 degree, such large disturbances of delta which comes out to be function of time is what we will be dealing in transient stability. So roughly if we see steady state stability, majorly we deal using Swing's equation, and transient state stability majorly will deal using equal area criteria. Okay, we will talk about both the things in very detail. So coming to the first part, before dealing with the Swing's equation for steady state stability limit, which in turn means a small disturbance in delta, we need to get aware of certain terms and certain formulas. So first of all, mechanical kinetic energy is nothing but half j omega sm square into 10 की power minus 6 in megajoules, where j is nothing but moment of inertia and omega sm is nothing but mechanical speed. Now we are aware that we will not be dealing in mechanical domain, rather we will convert everything to electrical domain. So to convert in electrical domain, we will be using this particular formula, which means omega mechanical is equals to 2 by p into omega s, that is electrical electrical domain. So after substituting this particular thing in formula, it gets converted into half in bracket j 2 by p whole square omega s into omega s. Okay, inside bracket there is also 10 की power minus 6 factor, and that whole thing we call as, the bracket thing together we called as m. M meaning inertia constant. So ahead we'll also see one h inertia constant, and we will see how do we differentiate what exactly is given in question, whether inertia constant given in question should be taken as m or h. We will see ahead, but for now let's comprehend this particular thing, that k is nothing but half j 2 by p whole square omega s into 10 की power of minus 6 into omega s. So j 2 by p whole square omega s into 10 की power 6 is called as m, which is nothing but inertia constant. So now this formula can be written as k is equals to half m omega s, which means m is nothing but 2 ke. Once you send to other side, it becomes 2 ke upon omega s. Fine. Now there is one more formula for ke, which is g into h, where h is again inertia constant, and g will be base MVA. Now as I already told that there will be two inertia constant, one is m, one is h. So how we will get to know which inertia constant is given? Suppose m is given. So units of m are megajoule, second, electric radian, or it will be megajoule second, electric degrees. Okay, it will be either of this, then you need to consider it as m. If h is given, in that case in question it will be megajoule per MVA, or it will be given in seconds. So if this is particular thing is given, then you need to consider that inertia constant to be h. Fine. So let's comprehend those two formula. K is equals to half m omega s, and K is also equals to GH, where G is base MVA and H is inertia constant. So when you equate these two, when you substitute value of Ke in the first formula, you get m is equals to 2 Ke upon omega s, which can be also written as 2 Gh upon 2 pi f, expanding omega s to 2 pi f and K into Gh. So when you cancel, you get m as Gh upon pi f. Now let's say, so this is nothing but megajoule second electric radians upon electric radians, okay, since pi is there. Now let's say, so finally if you comprehend, m is equals to Gh upon pi f when units are megajoule per electrical radians, or you can also write the same thing as m is equals to Gh upon 180 f where units are megajoule second per electrical degrees, okay. Here pi is changed to 180 since the units are degree. Let's say m per unit is to be used. At that case in time, you will be using h upon pi f, okay, h upon pi f when m is to be used in per unit. So now let's see upon some of the units used. M is equals, so units of m are as discussed megajoule seconds per electrical radian or megajoule seconds per electrical degree. G units are MVA, H units are megajoules per MVA or seconds. Units of J are kg meter square, M is nothing but J into 2 by P whole square omega s into 10 की power minus 6, or M is equals to nothing but GH upon pi f, or M is equals to GH upon 180 f depending upon the units whether they are radians or degree, or let's say M in per unit, then M in per unit is h upon pi f, okay. Again same, you need to take care about the units whether they are degrees or radians. Fair. So this were some terms which we had to consider. Now moving to Swing's equation. Swing's equation is a very simple equation. M d square del upon dt square is equals to Pm minus Pe, which can be written as m alpha Pm minus Pe. So from here, alpha, which is also called as acceleration, comes out to be Pm minus Pe upon m, where m is nothing but inertia constant. We have already seen that. Okay. So when we can see this formula in couple of formats. So those formats are same as the number of formats for m. So m we have seen in altogether 4 formats. 4 formats meaning m in radians, m in degrees, or maybe m in per unit. So all 3 formulas can be used here also, and we can frame 3 equations for swings. So we can write as GH upon pi f alpha is equals to Pm minus Pe. We can write GH upon 180 f alpha meaning d square del upon dt square is equals to Pm minus P. Or else if m is in per unit, Pm and Pe is in per unit, then you can write as h upon pi f alpha is equals to Pm minus Pe. Okay. So the main formula to consider is this: m alpha is equals to Pm and Pe, and whatever are the ways in which we can write m will be same number of forms. We can write this particular equation also, and we should also take care that alpha is nothing but acceleration, and alpha can be written as d del square upon d t square. Okay, fine. Now let's move ahead to the second formula, which is change in load angle. So whenever there is disturbance, we saw, right, there will be small disturbance, that is only the change in delta. So new delta will be old delta plus change in delta, and change in delta is nothing but half alpha t square. Now again here, whenever alpha is coming, you need to be very, very careful whether alpha is in radians or degree. If alpha is in degree, substitute here alpha in degree, meaning if delta is in degrees, here you should take alpha in degrees. If delta is in radians, then you take alpha in radians. Okay, so delta del is nothing but half alpha t square. Okay, and check the units of delta. Accordingly, take units of alpha. Fine. Third formula which we'll be seeing is change in rotor speed. So change in rotor speed, delta nr is nothing but alpha upon 3p into t, where t is nothing but to be taken in degrees compulsorily. Alpha is to be taken in degrees compulsorily. Fair. and we have already seen that alpha is nothing but Pm minus Pe upon m. So you found out change in rotor speed, where you will substitute it. So that will be nothing but new speed is ns plus or minus delta nr, that is change in rotor speed. So basically we have seen three major formulas here. One is Swing's equation. So swing equation is nothing but m alpha is equals to Pm minus Pe. Second is change in delta, that is d del is equals to half alpha t square. We've seen here that del nu is nothing but del old plus del, wherein we need to substitute the value of alpha in same units as the delta as del. And third formula which we saw was change in rotor angle. So delta nr is nothing but alpha by 3p into t, where we have seen that alpha should be always in degrees. Now let's move ahead and see parallel operation. Fine. So let's move ahead and see parallel operation. In parallel operation, there can be two kinds of operation. One can be coherent, other one will be non-coherent. In coherent, there will be two generators working parallel, G1, G2. In non-coherent, there will be one generator delivering and other motor absorbing, okay, and they will be working in parallel. In coherent, del 1 will be equals to del 2, that will be equal to ultimate del, but in non-coherent, del 1 will not be equal to del 2, that will not be equal to ultimate del. So these points are to be taken care of, that coherent means two generator works in parallel. Whenever in question you see a parallel operation of generator and motor, in that case you got to take all the formulas corresponding to non-coherent operation. In question, if you see two generator working parallel, then you will be taking the formulas which are belonging to coherent operation. Okay. So in coherent operation, m of system is nothing but m1 plus m2, h of system is nothing but h1 plus h2. H of system is given by ke1 plus ke2 upon g of system, that is nothing but g1 h1 plus g2 h2 upon g of system. So h of system is nothing but g1 h1 plus g2 h2 upon h of system. H of system means what? It is common base. G1 G2 are nothing but individual pieces, okay, so need to take care about that. Whereas non-coherent meaning something like parallel operation. So m equivalent nothing but m1 m2 upon m1 plus n2. I have already told non-coherent means a motor and a generator would be working in parallel. H equivalent would be nothing but h1 h2 upon h1 plus h2. Then PE and PM. So P is nothing but m2 P1 minus m1 PE1 PE2. Okay. Similarly, PM would be what? PM of the system again. So it would be nothing but m2 PE PM1 minus m1 PM2. Okay, you can check this formula here. Basically with m1 PM1 will come with m2 PM1 will come, and with m1 PM2 will come, and in denominator is always m1 plus m2. So let me reiterate on this. PM equivalent will be m2 PM1 minus m1 P2 upon m1 plus m2, and P would be m2 P1 minus m1 P2 upon m1 plus m2. Now we'll start with steady state stability. Okay, so starting with steady state stability, we have md square plus del PE upon del at del is equals to del naught is equals to basically into del equals to 0. Fine. So we get d is nothing but plus or minus root of, that's the most important thing, that what roots we are getting for this equation. So we get roots at d is equals to plus or minus root of minus del PE upon del at del equals to del naught upon m. Okay, this comes under root only. So let me again tell you what is the root. Root is nothing but d is equals to plus or minus root of minus dou PE upon dou del at del equals to del naught upon m. So now there comes two cases. This quantity can be positive or negative, and depending upon the quantity, we will come across two cases, stable and unstable case. Let's assume first case to be this value being positive. So if that value is positive, what we get is it as j root dou pe upon dou del upon m, okay, at again del equals to del naught. So this is nothing but, in this case we got poles at y axis. Poles at y axis mane undamped. In undamped, what we get? In undamped, we get critical oscillations, okay, we get oscillations, but that will be bounded, meaning stable system, okay, we got. But for this particular case, what we will get it, we got stable, and since oscillations are there, there will be frequency of oscillation that comes out to be j omega. J omega comes out to be what? Dou pe upon dou del at del equals to 0 upon m root, okay, that is omega. That is in normal values. If it is given in per unit, then what will convert m to per unit, which comes out to be h upon pi f, everything in per unit, okay. And since this is oscillatory in nature, what we get? C1 cos omega t plus C2 sin omega t. Fair. That's case 1. Now what if that whole value is negative? So negative, minus of negative comes out to be positive. That will give us d plus or minus m, which gives us normal quadratic equation plus or minus m, that will be increasing in nature, which is unstable, okay. So if we try to conclude the whole thing, we got roots as plus or minus dou pe, plus or minus root of minus dpe upon d dou at del equals to del naught upon m. So if the dou pe upon dou del at del equals to del naught is positive, which comes out to be stable. Stable meaning what? Stable meaning what? That del is between 0 to 90. Del is between 0 to 90. So basically, if you differentiate P max, you get P max cos del. Okay, so this value being positive meaning what? P max cos del is positive in the range of del to 90, 0 to 90, which is stable range. Same, if P max cos del is negative, that is unstable, which lies between 90 to 180. And if del is equals to 90, meaning marginally stable, P max cos del is equals to 0. Okay. One more thing which we saw was what? Steady state limit, P max. So P max is the maximum limit at which we will be having a steady state. Once you go beyond P max, it will start becoming unstable. Unstable meaning what? Dou p by dou del is negative, meaning what? P max cos del is negative, meaning what? Del is lying between 90 to 180 degree. And before that, in region of 0 to 90 del, you get a stable region, and you get dou p upon dou del being positive. Fine. So what does this mean? What does this steady state limit means? Steady state limit meaning, if we try to draw power more than maximum P max, then there is chance that it will become unstable. Unstable means what? We may lose synchronism. We may lose synchronism. Now we'll see what are the methods to improve steady state limit. Steady state limit mane, what are the ways to improve P max? P max is nothing but EV upon X. So it can be improved either by increasing E or by decreasing X. So E को increase करने का तरीका क्या है? Over excitation. X को decrease करने का तरीका क्या है? Bundling और series compensation or parallel length. We can also use static variable compensator, that will also increase our P max as shown in the graph. Fine. So let's quickly conclude the whole chapter in a minute, in less than a minute maybe. So we have seen couple of formulas. We have seen what is inertia constant. We have seen two formulas for inertia constant. We have seen its how we need to take care of inertia constant with respect to units. We have seen its per unit form. Then we have seen swing equation, m alpha is equals to pm minus pe. Then we saw change in rotor angle. Then we saw change in rotor speed. Then we saw coherent operation, non-coherent operation, coherent when two generators are in parallel, and non-coherent when generator and a motor are in parallel, how we change the formula. Then we saw steady state limit, dou p upon dou del at del equals to 0. We saw how the region of stability and instability comes and what is maximum steady state limit. Then we saw how can we improve steady state limit. With this, we can now conclude the chapter. Next chapter, we'll see transient stability. Thank you.